Hey, welcome to Speaking of Horses on our World of Equine News Report for March 2013. We've been on the road so much we're actually filming on location this month. We have been at many horse fairs from Illinois to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, to Denver, Colorado, and we just keep right on moving. So we're on location. We're not in our normal setting. First off, on our March report from Lexington, the North American Riding Group has released its report of the top 25 horse shows for 2012. It's the annual report. 3 of those shows were held at the Kentucky Horse Park, and they're held there each year. The Alltech National Horse Show, the Kentucky Spring Horse Show, and the Equine FEI North American Junior and Young Rider. We're proud that the Kentucky Horse Park facility has lended to the success of these horse shows selected by the NARGA Top 25 list. The North American Riders Group is an advocacy group representing the riders, owners, and trainers in North America. Well, we at Speaking of Horses were recently at the Illinois Horse Fair in Springfield, Illinois. While we were there, we got into a discussion with the veterinarian John Bird about the age-old issue of deworming your horse, when, how often is necessary. Here's a bit of our conversation with veterinarian John Bird in Springfield, Illinois. Watch this. We are here in Springfield, Illinois, and we're at the Illinois Horse Fair in the Speaking of Horses TV booth. And I am sitting here next to Dr. John Bird, a DVM, and you're one of the guest speakers here. So you were talking today on parasites and on checking the, the fecal matter for parasites to see if the horse really needs to be wormed and those kind of issues. So tell us a little bit about your topic and what led you to do this.
Okay. Well, what I do is check horses for parasites, and we have clients that send us the samples through the mail, and we check them for 4 or 5 different parasites. There's 2 main ones that we look for. The reason I started doing this was because I felt the horses were being dewormed way too much. That was over 20 years ago when they came out with the daily dewormer. So I started doing it for that reason, plus the fact that I had a lot of clients that asked me when I dewormed their horse how I knew their horse had worms. And the second question after I dewormed them was, how did I know they got rid of them? And up until that time, mainly we just had to go by saying, well, the drug companies tell us they do. So I felt that we ought to have a better way of knowing, and certainly when we were in school, we were taught that it was important to do stool samples on animals to check them for parasites, because it's really the only area that you can check to see, and what we're looking for is the eggs of the parasite. And we know if they have eggs, then all the different stages of those parasite life cycles are in the horse's environment or in the horse. So recently, in the last 4 to 5 years, there's been a big push to change the protocol on controlling parasites in horses. They've found that we're developing resistance, and the only way to slow down that development of resistance is to do stool samples to check for the eggs, and then only deworm the horses that are passing high numbers of eggs to keep from just deworming everything.
Well, it's a little bit like, if you don't have the disease anymore, why are you still taking the medication?
That's correct. And the way a lot of horses were kept, and especially when I started this, I was practicing in Southern California, where 95% of my horses were kept in clean box stalls 24 hours a day, other than when they were ridden or shown. And I just felt that they were not being exposed to infective larvae or eggs for the horses to have parasites. Why continue to deworm them at that rate every 2 months? And some people were doing it every 6 weeks.
Well, it's a very interesting topic, and it's something that you said it when you said, well, the drug companies tell us. So we're into a little bit of that, like, the doctors should look. You should look at the samples. You should check it out to see if they need it, and not necessarily do it just because, it's January or it's every 3 months or whatever schedule you're trying to follow. Doesn't mean your horse really needs it, right?
That's correct, and I will give the drug companies credit. Since they've come out with this idea of the developing resistance, many of the drug companies now are actually telling people and are actually having programs on the internet that do tell people it's best to check their horse to see if it needs to be dewormed, because the only way we can keep this resistance from continuing to develop is, as we said, just pinpoint and worm horses that need it rather than everybody.
So, are you enjoying your time here speaking at the Illinois Horse Fair?
Yes, I always really enjoy talking to groups of people, because when they come to a lecture like this here, they're there because they're really interested in what you're going to say. And that always is a very rewarding way to speak, is when you have a clientele or an audience that really wants to hear what you have to say.
Well, yeah, they knew your topic and they came to your seminar because of the topic, so now you're ready to go, right?
It's much better to me to speak to this kind of group than a class or something that has to be there. So it's just been a very rewarding situation.
Well, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, Dr. Bird, how do they do that?
They just go on our website. They can go on our website. It's www.horsemenslab.com. And all of our information to get a hold of us is there. They can actually order our little postage-paid kits that we mail out to them. They put the sample in the kit and mail it back to us, and we email them the results the same day we get the sample in the mail.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much.
You're certainly welcome. Thank you, sir, for interviewing me and taking the time to listen to what I had to say.
Well, we're glad you're here at the Illinois Horse Fair. We're glad to be here, and we got more coming. Stay with us right here on Speaking of Horses. We'll be right back. Stay with us. More coming here on Speaking of Horses World of Equine News Report for March 2013. Hi, Wayne Williams here from Speaking of Horses TV, and we'd like to thank the many supporters and underwriters who make this show possible. Equessentials Horse Care Products for the complete horse. Andis Clippers and Grooming Equipment. The best grooming technology comes from Andis. To the Stall Butler. Save on shavings by up to 50% from Stall Butler. This innovative design from Stall Butler is great for use around your stable. Overland Carts, a wonderful design by the multi-purpose cart, does all types of stable functions. Overland Carts, a great supporter. Woodstar Stalls and Custom-Built Stables, complete, thanks to Woodstar and their online Design Your Own program. And One Source Nutrition, a step ahead of all equine nutritional products, thanks to One Source. Please thank all of our supporters who make Speaking of Horses TV possible. Well, we're going to headline Wellington, Florida now, February through March, the 4th Annual Collegiate Educational Challenge hosted by FTI Consulting Winter Equestrian Festival has taken place at the Palm Beach International Equestrian Center. Now, the top riders representing varsity teams from the National Collegiate Equitation Association competed head-to-head in a collegiate format. Schaefer Raposa, a freshman at Southern Methodist University, took home the Over the Fences Championship trophy, presented by South Florida Hunter Jumper Association, with a high score of 92. Megan Violand, a senior at South Dakota State University, conquered the flat bracket and was awarded a championship trophy presented by Alex Jane from Our Day Farm. You know, we at Speaking of Horses are pleased to welcome new manufacturers, new sponsors, and new people to our Speaking of Horses and World of Equine News sponsorship. Joining us now for the next year is King Barnes, a wonderful manufacturer out of Pennsylvania with a lot of wonderful products and really innovative ideas in barn construction. Here's a conversation I had in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania with Mr. Dan Nisley of King Barnes. Watch this. Well, we're sitting here with Dan Nisley from King Construction in Pennsylvania, and we'd like to have Dan explain a little bit about King and the construction, the barns, and everything you do. So tell us a little bit about your company and your structure.
Well, King Construction's been in business 37 years, I believe it is, and it's owned by three brothers. We build all types of equestrian facilities, ranging from indoor riding arenas to stables to round pens, those kinds of things. In addition to other ag type structures, but primarily over the years we've sort of developed a niche in the equestrian facilities.
Well, I've been looking at your structures for a few years now and talking with you, and it looks like a very high quality product. It's a very aesthetically beautiful product. So tell us a little bit about what goes into the design, construction, and all of the input that your customers have into how that flows.
Well, initially, a customer contacts us, and we will have some give and take as far as questions and answers with regard to what they're looking for in their barns. For the most part, most people have been in so many different barns or had their horses boarded in different facilities that they know what they like and don't like in the building that they're wanting to build for themselves.
And King, you guys will sit down and absolutely figure out what they want, design what they want, how they want it, and make it work for them.
Right. We custom build, and we take their ideas and we try to blend it into the overall structure of the building to make sure that it works. Traffic flow, structurally, to still remain a structurally sound structure. And it's a very much of a partnership with the customer, obviously, to make sure that they're getting what it is that they need.
So really, if somebody's looking to build a barn or any type of stable structure, it doesn't matter exactly the size or the type you're looking for. You can sit down and custom do that for them.
Absolutely, yeah. We've shied away from trying to come up with just a couple of standard designs and stuff. Some companies have been very successful at that. We feel we want to remain with the custom design to keep the building fresh, keep the designs fresh, keep the creative juices flowing within our personnel, our engineering department, and with the customers.
And the nice part of that is, and we all know this in the horse industry, everybody, when they're building their barn or whatever, building their barn and laying their barn out, if they're truly into horses, is more important to them than the way they lay out their house, right?
It is.
It truly
absolutely.
is.
It really is.
So, the custom thing is I would say, you correct me if I'm wrong, 10 times more important when it comes to the barn.
Absolutely, yeah. The customers, they know what they want, and I have had numerous customers tell me, I don't really care what my house looks like, I want a nice barn, and that's what we're shooting for.
And that's what you shoot for. Now, we've been showing you some pictures along here. We're also going to show you a little video in a moment, but it's a quality product. It is produced custom to your needs, size and everything, and absolutely unlimited options, correct?
That's correct.
Well, we at Speaking of Horses are glad to have King Barns as a part of our sponsorship and be involved with everything that Speaking of Horses is doing. So if you're looking for that new barn, that structured, custom design any way you want, King Barns is the place you want to go. Dan, we thank you. Now, how do they get a hold of King Barns?
Just give us a call at 717-354-4740 or go to our website at kingbarns.com.
Kingbarns.com. Thank you, sir. And
welcome.
when you need that new barn, be sure and see King Barns. Even though the drought is not in the news much anymore, the effects of the drought have been lingering. It still takes a long time to recover with the growth cycles and the baling to see how much hay we're going to have and how well the crops are going to work. So, in Wisconsin, many of the people have done a brand new thing. They have started what they call a hay bank. Now, they've been asked to send out requests to various districts. The Wisconsin Horse Council has a hay bank, and you can get folks really through tough times by banking hay, letting people know where hay is. So it's a really wonderful thing. Now, if you would like to pledge hay, get a hold of the Wisconsin Horse Council. Call the office at 920-623-0393. Get yourself on this hay bank. It's a great, great idea. Joe Montgomery of Colorado is deeply involved with the Unwanted Horse Coalition. There are many topics and layers to this issue, and most of them actually fall back on what is long-term education of the public from the kids up. Here's a conversation in Colorado that I had recently with Jill Montgomery about education and the unwanted horse. Well, we're still here, Rocky Mountain Horse Expo in Denver, Colorado, and right now I'm pleased to be standing next to Jill Montgomery. Now, I've run into Jill at many horse council events, national and local, state horse council events for years. Jill is speaking here, and your topic here is?
Well, I'm here representing the Animal Welfare Council and explaining how their new program that is entitled Lessons About the Unwanted Horse, how they work and how people can access them.
And it's an interesting topic because, you know, the statements about there is a fate worse than death and the unwanted horse situation is a real dilemma in this country because, you know, just because a horse is unwanted and you say you can't do something with it doesn't make the people miraculously decide they want the horse all of a sudden. So tell us a little bit about this program and how this is being presented here.
Well, the issue is really the unwanted horse needing to have better options available to it for finding a permanent home or a useful purpose for it. And there are many approaches to it, but these lessons take 6 different sessions to address kind of the driving issues that have created the situation with 170,000 horses a year needing to find new homes. And the 3 primary concerns would be first that our economic situation, the recent recession has definitely increased costs for fuel and feed, and many owners are no longer in a position to afford their horses. But this issue was with us before the recession, and that part of the issue is really about people not understanding what's really involved in the commitment of owning a horse and getting a good fit for themselves. And then when they go to get out of owning that horse, they don't have a lot of options available to them. So that's where the issues comes up. But these lessons in particular are addressing the age group of 10 to 12, 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. And they're broken into 6 different sessions. They can be used individually or they can be used as a set. And they're appropriate for actually public school, for homeschooling, 4-H clubs, pony club groups, different kinds of scout groups, kids camps, any of these situations where you might have 10 to 12-year-olds gathered and needing an activity for them that includes learning about horses. So
well, especially with kids and girls, especially young girls in that age range, are horse nuts. Many of them are horse nuts. So it is a good thing that they learn that it's not just that simple to have a horse, and that if you have a horse, you have to take the responsibility. The whole thing of an animal, horse, dog, whatever, is not only the companionship, but learning the responsibilities of life.
Absolutely.
And so this helps to bring that to the forefront.
It does. And the 6th lesson in particular gives the chance to the child to work through the actual expenses and different items that a horse would need over the course of a year, and gives them a much better appreciation for the complexity that's involved. And it points them to resources where they can actually do the math to figure out whether or not it's a possibility for them. And it gives them some options if they're not really ready for ownership. Simple steps to get into having equine activities in their life that wouldn't be necessarily overwhelming to them and their families. So it's a good entry point. And
it helps them to lay the groundwork for moving forward.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
You know, speaking of horses, TV will be attending the Can-Am in Orangeville, Ontario, Canada, the end of March, and will be hosting many events there during Expo Canada. So we are pleased to be there after a 3-year absence. If you're in Canada, please come by the Can-Am and say hello and join us. We're happy to be there. We'll also be in Norco, California, the end of March, for the Backcountry Horsemen's Gathering. It's going to be a great time. Norco is Horse City, California, and we're going to have a great time there. We'll also have reports and film and TV coverage from Norco. Also, the Ranch Sorting National Championships have moved their dates and place. They've moved now to Fort Worth, Texas, Will Rogers Arena, and they will be held the first week in June this year. So that's coming right up. Matter of fact, we're going to be there. Here's a little promo from Dave Wolf from the Ranch Sorting National Championships.
Hey, RSNC contestants, I want to make sure you know that the 2013 Prefert RSNC National Finals has moved to Fort Worth, Texas. We couldn't be more excited to move to the Fort Worth Will Rogers Center for a great event. Please be sure to mark your calendar, make plans to come celebrate the sport of ranch sorting with us. Just like always, there will be classes for all levels of contestants, a week long of competition that'll be nothing but fun. But one of the resounding things that I keep hearing from our contestants is they want more cash and prizes. Well, we're serving it up. We've got 2 new programs. One, the World Series of Ranch Sorting. Did you know at this year's National Finals we're going to give away 2 4-star 3-horse slant load trailers plus $40,000 in that class alone? That's the World Series of Ranch Sorting. The second program is the RSNC Futurity and Maturity, something that we cannot be more excited about, because what it's done is it's drawn attention from the whole cow horse industry to our sport. Some of the top stallions in the nation are nominating their stallions to get involved in the sport of ranch sorting. They see the market is out there, they see that we're buying good cow horses for our sport, and they want to support us. That's what the Futurity and Maturity program is about. There's a guaranteed $30,000 added to the Futurity and Maturity program. Anybody can ride in it. Foals by nominated stallions are eligible for the added money. There'll be huge classes with a lot of added money. That's what you're asking for. Come and get it.
Well, you know, on our Speaking of Horses TV website, we have our affiliate TV package, and we're very happy to have a new member of that. It's Heidi McLaughlin. Now, Heidi has just finished a new discussion about her book, Fearless Rider, and her applications and training on Fearless Rider. So we caught up with Heidi while in Colorado recently. Here's our description from Heidi of the Fearless Rider project, which you can learn more of as you follow her on the affiliate TV program at Speaking of Horses. Watch the video.
Hi, I'm Heidi McLaughlin. I'm the author of the new book, Kick Your Fear of Horses. I wrote this book as a result of being a former fearful rider, and I tell my story about how I overcame my fear, and now I want to share what I learned and what worked for me with you. Many people ask me what KICK stands for. It's an acronym that I put together just to kind of help you kind of go through your mind and remember that the first K stands for keep at it. This is not a quick fix. This is something that you really have to work at. It takes tenacity, it takes time, and I always tell people, don't give up, because it is possible. So remember, keep at it. The I in KICK stands for invest. You need to invest in a well-trained horse, good equipment, a lot of time, and a lot of energy. When I say a good or well-trained horse, it's not a good idea for someone with fear issues to try to get a horse, or to get a horse that's off the track, or a rescue horse, or a special needs horse, or a green horse. These horses typically require someone that has a lot of skill. Someone that's battling with fear typically does not have the skill to handle a horse like that, and is just asking for more frustration. I always say, the old saying, kick a gift horse in the mouth. Well, never kick a gift horse in the mouth, they say. In this case, yes, you do want to kick a gift horse in the mouth. It's not a good idea to get a special needs horse, because then who's going to rescue you? You want to get a really tried and true, well-trained, dead broke horse, and that's what you start to build your confidence with. So the other thing I say is good equipment. By that I mean you don't want some fly-by-night gimmick. You want tried and true. You want a very, very good saddle, a leather saddle. I say if you can't afford a new one, go out and find yourself a good used, nice, well broken in, handmade saddle, leather saddle. Maybe have to do a few little upgrades to it to get it back into shape. These saddles last years and years and years. It takes 5 years to break a saddle in. You got a 30-year-old saddle, it's just getting started. So that's actually a very good thing. To get a used saddle. I don't talk about bits, I'm not a trainer, but you want to find a good trainer, you do want to invest in good training, and you do want to invest a lot of your time. The C stands for courage. Now remember, fear is an emotion. Fear is a kind of a nasty emotion. It plants its seed, we water it, we nurture it, and we grow, and it grows, and it grows. And pretty soon, we've got ourselves a full-blown, out-of-proportion fear issue that needs to be put in perspective. So it takes courage, and courage is not an emotion. Courage is an action. And it takes you to muster up that courage, to have a chance to muster up courage and fight the fear. Be strong enough, find your courage to chop down that big fear tree that you nurtured and grew into a big, huge thing. So the courage, it takes courage to build confidence. The last K in KICK stands for knowledge. That is where we spend a lot of time in the book. Obviously, fear begins where knowledge ends. And the confidence you're looking for is found in knowledge. I tell people all the time that if you're in a situation where you become fearful, it's because you're not prepared for the situation that you're in. So what you need to do at that point is make sure that you find out what that hole is in your training. What is missing? Because if you're fearful, there's something missing in your training. There's a hole. So right then and there, when you become fearful, ask yourself, what is it that I don't know how to do that's making me feel vulnerable at this point? So along with that, there's a lot more great hints in this book. I interviewed several experts and personally asked them to give you their advice on how to overcome fear. The foreword was written by Chris Cox. There's advice from Stacy Westfall, Richard Winters, Dr. Robert Miller, Mike Kevel, just to name a few. And I also followed 3 women for a year on their journey of trying to overcome their fear. All 3 of them had very severe accidents. All 3 of them were successful in 1 year. People think that sounds like a long time. It took me 7 years, and I don't want it to take you that long. So that's why I wrote the book. You could use my methods, and I can help you. So please go to www.fearlessrider.com. Let me help you. Look at my schedule, see the clinics I do, and I hope that you become a fearless rider soon. Thank you.
Well, that's our report for March 2013. Glad to have you join us on the World of Equine News Report here on Speaking of Horses. We're always happy to bring this to you. I'm your host, Wayne Williams. Check with us. Coming up in April, we're going to have a lot of highlights of expos and some brand new features to show you. So stay with us, and we'll see you next month here at the World of Equine News Report on Speaking of Horses. Hi, Wayne Williams here from Speaking of Horses TV, and we'd like to thank the many supporters and underwriters who make this show possible. Equessentials Horse Care Products for the complete horse. Andis Clippers and Grooming Equipment. The best grooming technology comes from Andis. To the Stall Butler. Save on shavings by up to 50% from Stall Butler. This innovative design from Stall Butler is great for use around your stable. Overland Carts, a wonderful design by the Multi-Purpose Cart, does all types of stable functions. Overland Carts, a great supporter. Woodstar Stalls and Custom-Built Stables, complete, thanks to Woodstar and their online Design Your Own program. And One Source Nutrition, a step ahead of all equine nutritional products, thanks to One Source. Please thank all of our supporters who make Speaking of Horses TV possible.